Hello everybody, here we are, 7.3 slope point form. This is the last of our types of equations in this chapter. And so far we've learned about slope-intercept form, which is, as you'll remember, y equals mx plus b. And we've learned about general form, which is ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a and b and c are integers, and a is actually a whole number, it's positive, and all of our terms are on one side. And our last one, slope point form. There's a few things I want to point out about slope for a second, actually. Let's focus on slope for a second. So our slope, as you'll recall, can be seen as rise over run, or change in y over change in x, and it can equal y2 subtract y1 over x2 subtract x1. And let's do number 3, if only one point is known, then slope looks like this. Then slope m equals y subtract y1 over x subtract x1. And this is kind of the beginning part of our slope point form. But we're going to make it look a little different. To get rid of our fraction, this x subtract x1, let's multiply each side by x subtract x1, and then we'll have our full slope point form. So it's going to look like this. If we multiply each side by x subtract x1, and we multiply over here by x subtract x1, we'll get something that looks like this. X subtract x1 times m equals y subtract y1. And that's where it is right here. That's kind of how we get there. It's written a little different. We have the y's on one side and the x's on the other one. But that's kind of like how we get there. And this is our last form. And maybe I'll write it now in purple for you all to see, or maybe in blue for you all to see, that y subtract y1 equals slope times x subtract x1. This is a lot of x's and y's and etc., but they're basically all kind of forms of the same thing. And what we're going to practice and what we're going to get really good at and what we're going to do a lot of is kind of moving between each of these states, moving between slope-intercept form to general form to our slope point form. So right here we have, let's do this first question, I suppose, right here. So write an equation in slope point form. Y subtract y1 equals m, our slope, times x subtract x1 of each line passing through the given point. So it says each line, but we only have one. So let's look. We can use either of these points. This one is labeled, so we can do that. So let's start. We have y subtract y1. Remember, this is x, this is y. So subtract 3 equals slope. What is the slope of this line? It's on our nice graph, so we can see it. We certainly know the rise over run between these points. But you can also see it seems to touch right there and right there. I would say it looks like it's a positive slope. It looks like we rise 2 and run 1. So I'm going to say we got 2 over 1, m equals 2 over 1, or 2. So our slope, the m, equals 2. And then we have x, subtract x1 is right there, 3. And then there you have it. We wrote an equation in slope point form for this line right here. Y subtract 3 equals 2. That's our slope times x minus 3. So that's that one right there. Maybe I'll erase this part. And then the next kind of parts will be moving between forms and solving problems and using information to put it into slope point form. So number 1, determine the equation of each line using slope point form, then express each equation in slope intercept form and in general form. So we are going to be moving our equations around quite a bit, slope intercept form and general form. So here we go. We have a point and we have a slope. So let's start. Remember, our form is right here. Okay, don't forget. So let's do y subtract. Remember, this is our x. This is our y. So y subtract 4 equals our slope. They got it right there, negative 5 times x subtract. Okay, we have a negative 3. You can think about it as subtracting negative 3. Or you can change that to a positive 3. Maybe I'll show that in green. So plus 3. Okay, so there is our slope point form. Okay, and now let's maybe go to slope intercept form next. Remember, we want our y on one side with everything else on the other side. Let's first distribute this 5 inside the bracket. So we're going to go 5 times x and 5 times that 3. So we still have y minus 4 equals, negative 5x, subtract 15. And now we want the y by itself on that side, so let's add 4 to each side. And our slope-intercept form is going to be y equals negative 5x, subtract 11. That's our slope-intercept. Okay, and our last one, right here we have a negative x. We want our x, remember, to be positive. So let's move our x over to the other side, and let's move our 11 over to the other side. So let's plus 5x, and let's plus 11 to each side. So I'll write it over here. Looks like we're going to have a plus 5x. So I've added that to each side. We still got a positive y, and now we've got a positive 11 equals 0. Maybe I should show that I added that to each side. We've got to add our 5x and add our 11 to each side. And finally, that's our general form. Okay, there you go. So we got this one right there is our slope point. Here is our slope intercept, and here is our general form. Erase that. I kind of crossed it out. And let's do the next one. We have, we need to start in our slope point form. Remember, we have y. I'm just going to write it out. Y subtract y1 equals slope times x subtract x1. So we got y subtract y1. That's going to be 1. That's our y right there. Remember, that's our x. That's our y. Equals our slope is 2 times 1/2. Oh, sorry, my bad. X subtract 1/2. Okay. And so now what are we going to do? Let's start by going, this is our slope point form. let's go to slope intercept. I'm going to multiply this 2 inside the bracket. That's helpful. It's going to make our half into a 1. So now we got y subtract 1 equals 2x, a half of 2, but it's a negative. It's going to be negative 1. Now we want the y on one side for our slope intercept form. So let's add 1 to each side. And we get y equals 2x. Those cancel each other out. Those cancel each other out. And we're left with y equals 2x. That's our slope intercept. And our last one, now we got a positive y. Let's move or positive x. Let's move our y over to the other side to get into general form. So let's minus y from each side. And we get 2x subtract y. We have no constant, no c, equals 0. And there's our general form. Okay. Let me put the purple line underneath so you see all of them. There's our slope point. There's our slope intercept. And there's our general form. So it's good to know how to move between these, what to do to each. You can practice moving equations around. Let's do the last one. 2, use slope point form to determine an equation of a line through each pair of points. Express each equation in the form y equals mx plus b. That's our slope intercept form. And the form ax plus by plus c. That's our general form. So we have 2 points, and we can use that. Now we're really kind of putting it all together. We can use our tools that we have. Remember that y2 subtract y1 over x2 subtract x1 is going to equal the slope. So we can use that to figure out the slope. And then we can use actually either of these for our slope point form. They're going to start out looking drastically different, but they'll end up in the same place. So let's find the slope first. This is our x or y, x1, 1, and our x2, y2. So let's start with negative 2, subtract 3 on the top. And let's do 1 subtract 6 on the bottom. That's going to be negative 5. Okay, I got cut off and I'm now in a different room if it sounds different. But we have negative 2 subtract 3. We have negative 5. And 1 subtract 6 is also negative 5. So we're going to have negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. That's our slope. And now we can put this in our slope point form. You can use either one of the points. Maybe I'll just use this one right here. So we can use either of these points. I'll use the 6 and the 3. So we have y subtract 3 equals slope. That's 1 times x subtract 6. And there is our slope point form. And to go to slope intercept form, let's distribute this one inside. I mean, really, we can just drop the brackets. So we get y subtract 3 equals x subtract 6. Now let's get the y by itself. Let's add 3 to each side. And for our slope intercept form, we're going to have y equals x subtract 3. That's negative 6 plus 3. And that's our slope intercept form. And our last one, let's move to our general form. We've got a positive x, so we want to subtract a y from each side to get all of our terms on the one side. And so we get x minus y minus 3 equals 0. And that's our general form. Thank you so much. I'll let you know what textbook questions I'd like you to do.